Hi, I'm Jessica,
And I'm Tracy.
and this is She's on Top, the place where we celebrate and elevate women.
And today we are thrilled to be talking with Raia Coach Carey.
Raia is a 3-time certified coach, and she's a motivational speaker. And what she does is she helps people tap into that confidence that they never knew they had.
After overcoming various hardships, she was able to change her mindset and began a career empowering others to do the same.
Today, we're talking to Raia about exactly how you go about tapping into that confidence, about body shaming, and also her perspective on gender fluidity, because she's kind of got a unique viewpoint on that.
We'd also like to remind you to check out our membership. We put a link with all the details below. And one of the benefits would be getting to see the longer version of this video, which we think you'll really enjoy.
But now it is our honor and our thrill to introduce you to Coach Carey. Hi, Carey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
We're so excited to talk with you today. And, we were going over our initial conversation, and we wanted to talk a little bit about, we thought the best thing is to start with your history, because one of the things that we love about you that people may not know is, you used to be a bigger person. You had a big weight loss. The thing that's so significant about that is, when you weighed 600 pounds, you were just as positive as you are now. So can you talk about the whole weight loss journey, everything about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think also it wasn't just that I was positive, is that I had that self-love. So it didn't matter, and still doesn't matter exactly what's happening externally, because I think at an early age, I really started to understand what matters is in here, and how I feel about myself, how I treat others, and how I treat myself. So the weight loss journey, actually, I don't share this story that often, but my dad, who was a really healthy guy, would work out on his lunch break, went into the hospital with high blood pressure. And I went to go visit him, and I almost fainted. It was just so strange seeing him plugged into things. He had lost like 30 pounds just being in the hospital. And I was like, ah. And then I was like, well, if that can happen to him, what can happen to me? So I went to the doctor, which I had been avoiding for years because I knew he was just going to tell me to lose weight. And I was like, I get it. And he said, I did all the tests, and he said, and when I got the test back, he said, I'm shocked. You're completely healthy in every single way, except for your BMI. So he said, if you want to, do it now before your body gives up on you. And so it was literally from that moment on. I had always been confident. I had always loved myself, but I wanted to be healthy. And that was the game changer for me. And that's when things really aligned, where it's not about doing it to make sure that I look better. It was doing it so that I feel better, and so that I can have the longevity of the life that I want for myself. And along the way, I guess I kind of turned into also being a leader and a role model for others, because weight loss comes with ups and downs.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you talk a lot about body shaming, and like so many people, we don't like our arms, our thighs, our hair, anything. So, I know you give out so much advice, but what are your top tips you give for people about body shaming?
Well, usually the question I ask is, is it coming from externally or is it coming internally? Because external usually doesn't really necessarily have to do with you. That's someone else's opinions or preconceived notions, or had them being upset with themselves and taking it out on you. Whereas the internal is what's more important, because we have our biggest relationship in our entire lives is the one with ourselves. And so whenever someone is body shaming, obviously to some extent, it impacts people in different ways. But I think the goal is to shift the language. And as a coach, that's one of my biggest pillars, is shifting people's language. So how you talk to yourself and just being mindful of it. So even like a journal of, what did I say to myself? How did that make me feel? How can I flip that around? So with my clients, I have this little tool that I call Turn That Frown Upside Down. And when I do workshops and stuff, I use myself as an example, because it's, again, all about authenticity and being my true self and creating those safe spaces. Because when one person is vulnerable, it provides space for other people to be vulnerable. And so when I walk into the room, I hold up a piece of paper and it says fat. And everyone's like, and then I flip the piece of paper around and I go work in progress. And then everyone's kind of like, oh. So I'm like, don't forget that you introduce yourself into a room and to anybody before you say a word. And so if I show up to every room going, hi, I'm Raia, I'm the fat kid, that's how people are going to treat me. But instead I walk in the room and go, hi, I'm Raia, nice to meet you. And you're like, oh, and they see me rather than just the weight. So shifting my language was able to help me build that confidence and remove myself from body shaming, just really talking to myself, I love you. I honor you. I respect you. You're more than enough. These are some of my mantras that I say to myself every day. And I think also just a reminder that every body is different. And what we have been conditioned to think is the norm and sexy and attractive is exactly that, what we were conditioned to think, and not necessarily true. So I think it's important for all of us to sort of dismantle that in a way that works for us, because all bodies are different and all bodies are beautiful.
Makes such sense. And it's great with the idea of language, because it helps us really pivot to the next topic, which is the gender fluidity, which is, how we talk about ourselves, how we talk about each other, how we do this kind of identification thing. And I think it's interesting on all sides, because, you have a very unique idea around this. You think of yourselves as Raia, which I would like to talk to you about, and also how, I have a friend of mine, she has a child, and she refers to that child as they, and I often get confused because she has 2 children, and it takes me a minute to realize she's not talking about 2 children, she's talking about 1. So yeah, I would just love your thoughts on the gender fluidity topic and your feeling.
Yeah. So I think for me, I always knew that I was a little bit different per se. And I really, really resonated with hanging out with my guy friends and the boys. And growing up, my neighborhood was all guys. I was the only girl. I never felt different. But then as you get older, everyone's like, well, you should be doing more of this. You should be doing that. Or the guys are going to do the guy stuff, and you're going to go do that. And I was always like, that doesn't align with me. And so then when I started to have that conversation of calling myself a hybrid, was because I very much felt as though I am a blend of both. And I'm 50% women and 50% man, even from the way I talk, my mannerisms, from how my mindset, everything. And when I started to own that more, I recognized that I wanted to call in both genders rather than potentially not aligning with either, which I can absolutely understand. So for me, when people ask me, what are your pronouns? I say she and her. And then if they want to ask me more, I would say, well, probably hybrid if I were to really give you the answer. But I say she and her because that still is who I am. But masculinity and femininity don't belong to any one gender. They are just traits and attributes that any gender can have. And even in the French language, it's how certain words are pronounced, and it has nothing to do with gender, right? And things don't have to be black and white. I think for so long, that's how things wanted to be. And it was hard for people to understand it. But if you really think about it, just because someone has a body part in between their legs doesn't mean that they can't have more things of how they feel and how they want to show up and how they feel their best selves. And so I feel like I say she and her because I resonate with both. And I think for any parent or anyone who's out there who is, with a kid who might be trying to figure out their own identity or sexuality, is that it might be confusing for them too. And so wherever possible, have that patience, listen to learn, do some of your own research, and ultimately support them. And what we always say when we do kids workshops is we go, if someone comes out or shares with you they've changed their pronoun, they're the exact same person they were 5 minutes before and 5 minutes after. And that always is a great way to kind of remind people that it's just a part of them. It's not, nothing else has changed.
Yeah, I love that answer. Sometimes people get so hung up with using the word she or he, and it really isn't about that, right? It's just respecting what that person wants to be. And which actually kind of brings me, we have so many questions for you, but we have like one last question, which is about authenticity.
We can talk for hours.
We can talk for hours, and we're going to have you back, and we'd love to ask more questions. But authenticity, I know, is a huge part of your platform, gender fluidity. So you're now an influencer, right? You have a really big following.
I guess.
How do you? Okay, last question.
That's a great face. It's like, oh,
yeah. I don't love that name for sure, but yes, I guess we could call it that.
Yeah. So as an influencer, how do you stay true to yourself? We had a short discussion before we did this interview about how many times a day should you post, and is it important how many likes you have and all that. So how do you stay true to yourself? How do you stay authentic, especially when you are influencing other young people? Big question.
relentlessly that, you know, I've always been the kid that can't be moved. You can't tell me anything. I have to figure it out on my own. And my parents can attest to that with the pros and cons, I'm sure. And I think for me, it's really always bringing it back to my why. And my why was to share. My why was to bring people on the journey that I'm on, and to also, you know, learn and grow on what I'm doing, but also to provide that to other people in an effort to ensure that there is a level of accessibility. I've always said that, you know, what I speak to and what I'm talking about should be accessible to everyone. And social media was a really great platform to do that. But then somehow, you know, people started to follow me and engage with what I was putting out there. And what happens is it starts to become pressure, and then posting, and then everyone wants a piece of you, and everyone wants to partner, and everyone wants to sponsor. And I just had to wrangle myself in one day and put it all, you know, lay everything out and just say, none of that matters. What matters to me is the impact over numbers. And when I started to sort of get, you know, dabble my feet in the influencer and partnerships, everyone kept saying, wow, it's so nice to meet someone who's exactly like they are online. And I was like, what? I was shocked. And I was like, well, isn't everybody? And they were like, no, a lot of people are very different from who they are online. And I was a little bit, it was a little disheartening. And for me, that was also the reminder that, okay, if I'm going to do this my way, I'm going to be me no matter what, because I can't be anything other than me. And so what I started to do was also just share more about the process and be like, I don't feel like posting an inspirational post today, or I don't care about the numbers. I don't care about posting every day. I'm literally just going to be me and see how that goes. And luckily, the people who are kind of on the same mindset and level as me, it resonates with them. And everyone else, if it doesn't, that's okay too.
Thank you so much. We are going to put, well, actually, how can we help you? We're going to put links to your website. If you want to reach you, what's the best way to reach you?
For personal coaching, all the different things that you do.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously my website is a great one. My Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn as well, Facebook, Twitter, but I would say LinkedIn and Instagram are my two biggest platforms. My website. And then I actually do have an article specifically on talking about gender pronouns and fluidity and how to support someone. And that would be a great article to share for anyone who, when we were talking about that really resonates with them, or that's something they're going through or needing to support someone.
Brilliant. We can put all those links below in the YouTube description.
Great. And again, I'll send that to you.
Brilliant. And thank you so much for being with us today. And we can't wait to speak to you again about more interesting topics.
Yes. All of them.
Big gratitude. Thank you.
Thanks, Raia.
Well.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click on the like button below. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, we would love you to do that now.
And also, we love your feedback. So please leave us a comment and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
And as we mentioned off the top, we would have an amazing community that we would be thrilled if you became a member of. We've got 3 levels of membership. All the details are below in the link. And also, regardless of whether you do that, we also have a newsletter. It's really fun because we share information from our community, but Tracy and I also share stuff that's inspired us, from movies to podcasts to books. So you'll want to check that out for sure.